Hey, welcome or welcome back. Today we're deep diving into pixelated past to unearth the relics that tested our patience and perhaps even shattered a few keyboards. Get ready to relive the trauma as we explore those games that made us rage quit. First up, we have original Prince of Persia. This game was revolutionary for its fluid animation and cinematic platforming. But beneath the beauty lay a beast, and one with extra sharp teeth. Those instant death traps, the unforgiving time limit and the precise jumps that demanded pixel-perfect accuracy? Oh man, one wrong step and it was back to the beginning of the level. And who could forget those sword fights that felt less like combat and more like a dance of death, with a well-placed parry being your only salvation. Talk about the test of reflexes. Or if you're like me, lack thereof. Next on our list is Commander Keen 6, Aliens ate my babysitter. Don't be fooled by its pastel sprites or Keen's adorable pogo stick though, as this one will torch your chill and assault your sanity, as most Keen games did to me. Every courtyard sprawls into a labyrinth of hidden dart traps, spikes, fire jets and an occasional electrical barrier, blue soldiers spring out of secret alcoves to pummel you, and one wrong bounce of a wall flings you miles from the exit. Each screen becomes a hide-and-seek nightmare of instant death, where you learn the hard way that babysitter rescue duty can feel more like a cosmic boot camp. Ah, Monster Bash, more like Hulk Smash. This platformer from Apogee had a fantastic atmosphere and memorable characters, but it also had a knack for pushing your patience. Well, I think we can all agree that I'm not known for being particularly good at platformers, but this one really made me feel it. Johnny Dash's quest to save his dog was riddled with tricky platforming, limited lives, and enemies that were just a little too good at ambushing you. And those boss battles? They've often required specific strategies and perfectly timed dodges, making every mistake feel incredibly punishing. It was a monster of a game indeed. Speaking of monsters, how about the legendary Ghosts and Goblins? While it wasn't exclusively a DOS game, it brought all of its notorious difficulty to PC players. Arthur's quest to rescue Princess Prin was a masterclass in frustration, in the arcades and most home ports. One hit and your armor was gone, another and you were a pile of bones. And those enemies that just kept coming wave after wave after wave after wave, combined with relentless projectiles? This game is a prime example of the kind of brutality we'd all come to know as Nintendo hard. It didn't ask you to get good, it demanded you perform a flawless, beautiful ballet of death between countless enemies. Now, let's talk about the game that was as beautiful as it was brutal. Another World, or Out of This World in North America, is my personal retro nightmare. I used to be very decent at it, and now, well, even completing the first stage, the one where you get captured, is too much for my skills and patience. Still, it's a cinematic platformer that dropped you in a hostile alien planet with zero instructions. Every single screen was a new puzzle, and almost everything could kill you in one hit. The gameplay was pure trial and error. You'd die to a slug, die to a tentacle, die to a fall, reload and try again, inching your way through sheer memorization. It was a masterpiece in atmosphere, but man, did it test your resolve. Tyrian is one of the greatest shoot-em-ups of all time, no doubt about that. It's got a great story, incredible customization, fantastic music, and plays so well. On normal difficulty. But crank it up to suicide or impossible, and Tyrian transforms into a pure, unadulterated bullet hell nightmare that takes each and every opportunity it has to teach you lessons. Lessons on how you suck at it. The screen fills with so many projectiles that you can barely see your own ship. It demanded god-tier reflexes and deep understanding of enemy patterns. Dark Castle on DOS lets you guide Sir Duncan with its infamous floaty momentum-based controls. And floaty controls is the last thing you wanna hear about when talking about platformers. Forget crisp, pixel-perfect jumps, this was more like trying to steer a shopping cart with wheels covered in butter across a sheet of ice in a windy weather during rain season. The controls themselves were half the battle, turning simple platforming into a masterclass in rage quit fuel. The level design was another. One mistimed tap, and it's back to that flickering title screen. Oh, Rick Dangerous, how thou had made me lose my mind. This game is the absolute king of unfair trial-and-error gameplay. It's like the developers actively hated the player. Who knows, chances are specifically me. Every level was packed with hidden traps, darts shooting from walls, collapsing floors, falling rocks, and most of them were impossible to anticipate. Your first, second, and probably the 20th playthrough of a level was just about learning where all the instant death traps were. It was less about skill and more about route memorization, which was infuriating. And even more so if you were me. Which you weren't, but I was, and let me tell you, it was not fun being me then and there. Long before he was a bubblegum-chewing action hero that was constantly out of gum and kicking alien asses left and right, Duke was a 2D platforming star. Duke Nukem II perhaps was not a huge step up from the first game, but definitely one, but it was also deviously difficult. The levels were sprawling mazes filled with enemies that could drain your health in seconds. Forgetting a keycard or getting lost often meant a long, frustrating backtrack through enemy-infested corridors with no health inside. It was a classic case of where the heck am I supposed to go? Why is everything shooting at me, and weren't I supposed to be the most dangerous thing here? John Romero's dangerous death in the Haunted Mansion gives you a cool and powerful shotgun, but only 8 bullets to start with, which is perhaps semi-realistic as you have to reload constantly, but also challenging, giving you that sudden trigger finger itch. Every shot counts, and wasting them on a lowly zombie could leave you helpless against a screen full of horrors later on. It turned the game into a terrifying exercise in resource management, where every missed shot felt like a nail in your own coffin, a nail that you yourself are hammering in. Silpheed was an ambitious 4-3D vertical scrolling shooter that tried to bring an arcade-style experience to DOS. And it was chaotic. The pseudo-3D perspective, combined with sheer number of enemy ships and projectiles flying at you from all angles, made it incredibly difficult to tell what was going to hit you. You'd often die without even knowing what happened. Usually when the enemy sprites overlapped, making it difficult to tell whether you'd miss them or if the hitbox detection failed to register. It was a visually impressive but incredibly overwhelming and punishing experience. It may not be as difficult as other games in this video, but it's plenty enough to get you sweating and swearing under your nose. Prepare to die a lot. Dragon's Lair on DOS was a port of the Laserdisc arcade classic, and it brought all of its infamous difficulty with it. The entire game is essentially a series of quick-time events played over FMV backdrops where you have a split second to press the right direction or button. If you're too early, you die. Too late, you die. Press the wrong button, you die. The game decides to glitch for a second, well, I think you get it by now. You die. Watching Dirk the Daring get zapped, eaten or squashed over and over again was the core gameplay loop. And while it was fun for the first couple of times, it gets tedious fast. At first glance, Jetpack seems like a charming little puzzle platformer. So you go through roughly 100 small levels collecting tiny green gems. Fun. But despite the cuteness of its pixel graphics, some of its later stages were absolutely diabolical. You had to navigate complex mazes, avoid deadly traps that are timed and independently repeating, and deal with numerous enemies, all the while managing your few levels. The rage came from figuring out the perfect pixel-precise route through a level, only to mess up one tiny step and have to start all over again. another fantastic shmup from Apogee, Stargunner was a visual and audio feast. It was also brutally hard, which given the theme of this video is probably as surprising to you as that I'm not a native English speaker. At higher difficulty levels, Stargunner threw everything at you at once. Massive waves of enemies, screen-filling bosses with multiple attack patterns and asteroid fields that required expert piloting. It was a relentless assault on the senses that demanded your full undivided attention. So blink at the wrong time, take a tad too long breath, sneeze, or even risk a sip of tea and you were space debris. Last but not least, we have the DOS port of the arcade hack-and-slash classic Rastan, and it is pure old-school brutality. You'll hack through skeletons and other bodies on platforms that crumble the instant you land on them. Well, not only, but when you do happen to land on them, that most of the time will equal death. Thankfully, Rastan's sword swings and jumps are reliable enough, but that won't save you from bottomless pits and surprise ambushes that sends you straight back to square one. Until you memorize every snapping ledge and enemy spawn, you won't survive past the very first screen. And that's our list of those games that made us question our life choices. You know what also makes me question these? Politics and politicians. But let's not get there now, it's neither time nor place. So, let me know in the comments which old school games broke your spirit and why. Like the video if you did, hit sub and bell too, for YouTube to let you know when I release something new. Thanks a lot for watching, take care of yourself and I'll talk to you soon.